Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to part 3 of Forgotten Roles, your favorite player characters. Today we're going to talk about the one and only magic user. I call them magic abusers because I think it's funny, and I love playing them. I know a lot of people do. I know a lot of people can't stand playing them, and I know a lot of DMs who rather they weren't even in the game at all. But you know, what are you going to do, right? Well, right off the bat, let's look at some of the things that they should be able to do. And I'm not talking about, the detect magic and stuff like that. I'm talking about the things that you as a player playing a magic user character should think about incorporating into the role of your character when you're not doing those things. Because as we all know, most magic systems make it to where you're going to run out of magic, and when you run out of magic, what do you do besides throwing daggers or throwing oil flasks, things like that? That's all combat, and combat should only be about a third of the game, in my humble opinion. There should be a whole lot of other things that you can be doing with your character, planning for the future, reveling in the moment. Right off the bat, as you can see, I put 3 in the title that I think are kind of up there in the top, things that I like to do with magic users, and I don't see a lot of other people doing. Number 1 is Seeker. The magic user, the wizard. Magic user is really a dumb generic term. We're just going to call them wizard from here on out, whether they're a wizard or not in rank level or whatever. The wizard should be looking for all kinds of things, but most importantly, more magic. And oftentimes that magic is squirreled away in dungeons or catacombs or tombs or crypts or whatever you want to call your underground layers. And looking for more power. That's one of the key elements of the magic user. Is what makes them a magic user wizard in the first place is the desire for more knowledge beyond the ken of mortal men, the ability to literally control the forces of nature and the laws of creation, and however you or your GM works as cosmology, but whatever magic truly is, that's their thing. That's what they're constantly striving for, understanding it and finding it. And this is a great catalyst for many an adventure, for bringing the party together. It's like, hey, my magic user, my wizard character found some information. I think I know where some stuff is. The thing I'm looking for, maybe some stuff for you guys as well along the way, but I can't go there by myself. I need a group of adventurers to help me in this adventure, going here or there looking for the stuff. So GMs use that. When you're handing out those rumors, I highly recommend that you don't just randomly roll each player's rumors, if you will, or clues or whatever, randomly. Give the good ones that pertain to each class to the classes that are most likely to find them. And your fighter isn't the most likely person to hear about a hidden library of magical. They're not talking about that. They're talking about their greatest conquests and things like that. When they're carousing, if you use those kind of rules, it should be the magic user, the wizards, that hear about those kind of things. So let them hear, feed them those rumors. When you want them to go into a dungeon, make up some rumors, and maybe they hear a rumor about this place or that place and the magic that it might hold. The next role, the teacher. And I don't mean like trying to teach everybody in the party a cantrip or a magic spell. No. Let the player who runs the magic user, the wizard, be the one who gets to use some of that meta knowledge that we can't help from decades of playing and having the monster manuals all memorized. Let that character be able to use some of that meta information in the way of spouting lore, and maybe telling stories to the party. Let the GM and the wizard character, talk back and forth pre-game or what have you, to where you can then legitimately impart some of this knowledge, so that now maybe because the wizard character one night told a story about trolls, now the party knows that trolls are susceptible to fire or acid, or depending on the kind of troll, maybe something else. Use that as a way to allow the meta knowledge that we all have, especially us old timers. Let the wizard character be the one to kind of justify using that information. At the evening meal, maybe the wizard character tells a story every night. Maybe go through the monster manual and say, well, you know about this one. You remember a story about this, and then say, okay, Jim, you're playing the wizard character tonight in this thing. You can tell a story about a monster. Pick one, and then make up a story and give him the opportunity in the storytelling to maybe earn a few XP for himself by telling a short little story. And then the players now have that info, and they can say, well, I got it from so-and-so. And then the lore keeper. There are also the PCs that have some other knowledge. Maybe it's not monsters, maybe it's magic items, or maybe it's legends that the GM wants to remind the party about this place or that place, or this dungeon, or this magic item, or this legend that incorporates maybe several of those elements. Give that player and character the opportunity to be the old guy, the storyteller, the holder of secrets, not just magical but mundane, that maybe the party isn't familiar with. Let them hold on to and impart those pieces of information that you'd like the party to have. Maybe you've got to do the secret squirrel thing. Maybe you've got to pass the players some notes. Maybe in between games you can talk on the phone or something, or text or whatever. We used to do this a lot, and those characters and players, of course, obviously, give them the opportunity to have vast amounts of knowledge that you want to give to the party without giving it through an NPC. You could let the player be the one to share those things, especially if you've got a good wizard player. They will be the player that's constantly asking you things, constantly talking to you between sessions. I know Bubba likes to try to get a lot of players doing stuff between session, talking, using Discord, things like that. Well, feed some info to that player who's playing that character. A lot of the other characters, really, because they're not driven by that kind of play style, they're not going to be inclined to do those kinds of things, and they're not going to be inclined to, do much more than drink and carouse and get in bar fights in between game sessions, or maybe they're saving their money, or they're laying low or whatever. But the wizard, he's always looking for information, always pumping people and places and books for as much information as they can get, and they can never have enough. That's why they're wizards. They want to know everything, and make them earn it, but make them work for it by helping them out a little, by throwing them a bone, giving them a story, giving them a legend, giving them a couple of clues here. Maybe tell them they noticed something on the map, or maybe when you show them the map, you say, well, this about this area. Especially like a session 0, if you get a chance to pull that player aside and go, okay, here's some things that only you would know about the map. The other characters wouldn't know these things because they're just they're just a step above peasant, or it's just not in their wheelhouse. They wouldn't know about these faraway lands. Well, maybe 7th, 9th level, maybe you're going to want to go travel over there because you scoured the area around the castle, and There's no more dungeons to be had, but way over in the mountains over there on the other page of the map, you know about this place. You know this legend about this crypt, this tomb, this ancient pyramid, this forgotten city, places that need to be explored, you know, or are begging to be explored, I should say, not need to. But I think you guys get my drift. Magic users should be not necessarily the star of the show, but they should definitely be behind the scenes working their magic and trying to get and motivate the rest of the group to be doing some great things. That's what I got for you this morning, folks. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I will see you guys in about 45 minutes. Maybe we'll talk about this. Maybe we'll talk about the thief. Maybe we'll talk about the fighter. Cleric's going to be next week. I got a bunch more stuff for you this week. But for now, that's what I got for you. I love you guys. I will see you guys all